What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Real quick, before questions, we have to send a shout out and a thank you to Decoy, who joined our Patreon at the Jedi Master level. Thank you so much for your support, Decoy.
For our first question, Matt Crater asks when the Sith ruled the galaxy, as Palpatine claims in Revenge of the Sith.
So the last time that we kind of know, and I'm saying they ruled the galaxy as in they had the seat of power. They were in control of Coruscant. The last time that happened was about 1,000 years before the prequels. So, yeah, I mean, there is kind of an answer to that, but the Jedi and the Sith have warred over specifically that spot where the Jedi Temple was built for a long, long time. They basically were like, the Sith built a shrine there, and then the Jedi built a shrine on top of that, and then the Sith built on top of that, and the Jedi finally eventually built their temple there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see in something maybe like the Acolyte, to see something where the Sith are more kind of starting to get some power.
Yeah, well, the Acolyte's going to be only like 50 years before the Phantom Menace. Well,
they're coming back up.
Right. I do think that at some point we might see that version of the galaxy when the Sith were like in complete control. And I will say that there are some moments in the High Republic that touch on the past. Into the Dark gets into it a little bit. I won't spoil anything except for that.
What were the Jedi doing while the Sith were in power?
Well, probably trying to regain their own power. Like Light of the Jedi has already talked about times in the past when the Jedi were whittled down to just a handful. And that happened in Legends as well. There were multiple Jedi purges where the Jedi get like beat down, almost destroyed, like the Sith supposedly were. And then they build themselves back up, and then they beat the Sith, and it's like this constant back and forth.
Just like the Force. Ford Smiley wants to know how we feel about the Kenobi show potentially contradicting Obi-Wan's story and from a certain point of view.
So basically that story very strongly hints that Obi-Wan hadn't seen Darth Vader since Mustafar. And, you know, I don't recall it explicitly saying that, like Obi-Wan going, it's been 19 years, but it's just is what it is. Like, I don't think Disney is going to say, like, okay, we have this really great story that we're going to put, or I should say Lucasfilm, that they have this really great story we're going to put in live action, and we want Darth Vader and Obi-Wan to go head to head one more time. But then someone is like, well, wait a second now. This one story that only a handful of Star Wars fans have read says we can't do that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, would you rather get a show with Obi-Wan and Vader kind of reuniting, or would you rather have that story in the book? Right.
And again, like, I'm sure a lot of our subscribers have read from a certain point of view and liked that book, but, you know, with so many stories and moving parts to Star Wars, it's like, there are going to be contradictions. I know, like, I love it when Cobb Vanth comes into Aftermath, and I'm like, oh my god, like, the books and everything, it's fitting together, and that's amazing. It's not going to happen like that constantly. And even Cobb Vanth had some, like, little contradictions to what happened in the book, and it's like, you know, this is a mythology.
Yeah, don't call it contradictions, maybe just call it, like, flourishes.
Alternative history.
Yeah, just some extra goodies.
What I always try to remember is, like, as much as I love it when it all works out, Star Wars is a mythology. Like, that's what George Lucas described it as. And Greek mythology doesn't have a perfect canon, so treat it as a myth and not as, like, an actual universe that existed.
Rick Villanueva asks if any of the Jedi of the High Republic era will become one of the Lost 20.
Yes. We know that one of them will. Almost without a doubt, I would say. And I'm going to get into, I guess you could consider it spoilers for the era, but this is something that has been explicitly stated in a book, I think 2 years ago. So I'll put a time code up so you can jump ahead if you're trying to avoid all that. But Dooku Jedi Lost talks about Master Trinus, a member of the Lost 20, and Cavan Scott's comic right now is all about Keeve Trinus, who just became a Jedi Knight. So,
and she's awesome.
Yeah, she's a great character. So she will be a Jedi Master eventually, and then she is going to be someone who peacefully chooses to leave the Jedi Order. So
Interesting.
why? We don't know. I also like that, to me, that says that the High Republic is going to span a long time. She just became a Jedi Knight. Who knows how long this is going to go, but I would assume maybe at the end of Phase 3, like maybe that's going to go 20, 30 years, and she's going to decide to leave the Order.
I hope it does. I would love to see a story like that start so early like it has, and I'm already in love with the character, and then go that far to where she's a master and she, peacefully leaves the Order.
Yes. So it'll be interesting to see why. On outside of her, I don't know. It would be interesting to see if this was like, maybe at the start, it was like the Lost 5, and then something happens where it's just like a lot of Jedi are like, I gotta walk away. Or it could just be her. I would lean towards fewer, that maybe she's the only one of this era that leaves, but it's always weird to me where she might have been like the 20th Lost, but did they call it the Lost 19 before then? That just doesn't sound as snappy.
I think they didn't call it anything until way later. I don't know.
That's a good point. They may not have like set up this kind of shrine to the Jedi Masters that decided to leave until they hit 20, and they were like,
it's
maybe
a good
we should
even
remember.
Number.
Yeah.
Trevin Pettigrew wants to know which era of Legends is our favorite.
So I really grew up and got into Legends in the post Return of the Jedi era. Like I basically just said, okay, I've seen the movies. The year is like 1996. I think my first book was Shadows of the Empire, but then I was like, let's just pick up from Return of the Jedi and go on. So that was my introduction. That's where I think my most fond memories of reading Star Wars are, getting into the X-Wing books, the Thrawn trilogy. I basically went chronologically, so I think that's probably my favorite era.
And I don't know much about Legends, so I don't have a favorite era. I'll say the Old Republic just for...
Just to get those fans on your side?
Just for poodoos and giggles. Eli asks if there's anyone in the Schmodown draft we think managers are sleeping on. So, for those of you who know about the Schmodown, there's a draft coming up. For those of you who don't, highly recommend going and checking out the Schmodown. Yeah,
because a lot of we've talked about the Dragon Con trivia a lot, and three of our Dragon Con competitors are entering the draft. So I'm just going to say that the managers shouldn't be sleeping on any of them. I mean, they've all won Dragon Con trivia.
Yeah.
So that's someone that should not be taken lightly.
And I have talked a lot about Zach Burkett because not only is he great at Star Wars trivia, he knows regular movie trivia too, and he could probably dominate in a horror free-for-all or tournament if that happens again this year. So I want to see him beat a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm hoping to face off against each and every one of them so that I can beat them again. And hopefully they don't beat me again. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where we left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to extra Star Wars explained content like audio commentaries for the films, and we're doing Clone Wars audio commentaries again. This week's episode is Deception, and that's available right now if you're interested.
On to YouTube questions. Lucas Bailey asks if Ahsoka does wind up being the Rebels sequel series that was kind of rumored about, could we see the rest of the Rebels cast appear there?
I'm not sure, and I'm still skeptical that that's the case. I don't know, mostly because I want the Rebels sequel series, whatever. I want that story to be animated. I don't know why, just because Rebels was, and I'd like to see that continue on. Kind of like the way the Bad Batch is going to be a spiritual successor to the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. I'd like a spiritual successor to Star Wars Rebels as well. But if that's going to be a live action show, they kind of set it up so it would just be Ahsoka and Sabine doing the hunt for Ezra. Like Zeb and Callus went off and did their own thing. Hera has Jason, and she's been pretty busy in stories like Star Wars Squadrons and the Alphabet Squadron books. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know that we really need to see the rest of the cast if that's what the Ahsoka live action show is going to be. I also kind of feel like the rumors about the Rebels sequel series, maybe that just got scrapped because of them deciding to do an Ahsoka show.
That's kind of what the word on the street is that it was going to be an animated show, and then they just decided, well, hold on now. we could do this live action instead. So I don't know. I don't know what the truth is. I was kind of hoping, because Ahsoka has been described as like a special miniseries event, like a one-time, one-series thing. And I assumed that a Rebels sequel series would be longer, so, maybe Ahsoka is going to serve as like a prologue for the sequel series or something like that.
I could see that, like, the rumors about a Rebels animated sequel series maybe just being put on the back burner so that we can concentrate on the live action stuff and all the new stuff that they announced for Disney Plus, and then maybe way further down the line we'll get whatever this sequel series is animated.
Yeah, like I love all the live action Star Wars we're going to get, obviously, and we're going to get Star Wars Visions this year and the Bad Batch, but like I wouldn't mind having like a really healthy mix of live action and animated Star Wars content.
BlazeCap1213 wants to know if the baby Hutt from the Aftermath books could appear in the Book of Boba Fett.
Could, yes. Will, I doubt it. Should, probably not. I don't know. I don't really think they're going to pull that storyline in. Like, Cobb Vanth was one thing, but he kind of fit The Mandalorian thematically, where Din was at that point and what needed to happen. Like, it was just a perfect storm where they're like, yeah, let's use this book character. I don't know that they have to use everything that Cobb Vanth brought with him, but, I don't know what the story is going to be. So
yeah,
it's possible. I think it's unlikely.
I mean, if they're anywhere near as cute as Grogu,
well,
why not?
Assume it would look more like Rada.
Well, they might change it up a little bit for live action.
Molly's like, you know what? If it's a cute baby Hutt, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Molly's just trying to fill the void that Grogu left in her heart.
Rada animated just looked like a giant turd.
Smelled like one too.
Yeah, so they're not going to do that for live action.
I do think that the Huttlet in Aftermath was older than Rada. And here we go.
Brandon Hancock asks if Kira could show up in The Mandalorian Season 3 in charge of Crimson Dawn. Ooh.
I doubt it.
Probably not in charge.
Well, also, I just don't think Kira... I mean, my gut tells me she's not around at that point, that late in the timeline. That's just what my gut says.
I don't know. I would love to see her again in live action, but yes. I don't think Mando Season 3 is where it's going to be.
Yeah, I would much rather, instead of like pulling her way down the timeline, I'd rather see her story play out from where Solo left off.
Right.
Like, let's do a Crimson Dawn series, or, a Solo series. Maybe it'll be in Lando, whatever they want to do. I think it's smarter to just keep that kind of contained where it started, instead of really jumping down the timeline. But
I like the idea of her showing up in Lando.
Yeah.
Potentially. But yeah, I want to see her going to Dathomir, meeting up with Maul. Yeah. SK Ricochet wants to know if anyone in Light of the Jedi could be a secret Sith.
Again, could? I guess so. Should? I hope not.
I mean, are we talking like Palpatine's secret Sith?
I assume so. I mean, it could be one of the Jedi or a member of the Republic, but like, no matter what you do, with it. I feel like it would be too similar to Palpatine at this point. Like,
yeah,
I don't want the Sith to be that close to their goals 200 years prior. Like, if we're going to see the Sith again, I want to see them, like, kind of struggling a little bit. Struggling to stay hidden, struggling to regain power.
Yeah, I don't think there's any hidden secret Sith agents within the stories that we've read so far in the High Republic. I feel like we just got the Nile. They're, by the end of Light of the Jedi, they're kind of like really ramping up. I'm very excited to see more of the Nile and whatever other bad guys are in the book that is yet to come out. It's not the time for the Sith yet.
Yeah, like, part of the appeal to me for the High Republic is just how different this era is. So if the Sith show up, I wouldn't be surprised if that eventually happens. But for now, I'm happy to just, like, play with these new toys and see what they're all about. The Sith are definitely around somewhere. It feels like it's kind of like Yoda. Yoda's alive at this point. Of course we see him. Same with Jarl Poof and Appa Rinzis, but like,
one of them is definitely a secret Sith.
Yeah.
And then they find out about Palpatine and they're like, man.
That was my idea.
Oh, boy. I've been around for a lot longer than you have.
That definitely sounds like Jarl Poof.
Stealing my glory.
So I think we'll probably touch on the Sith at one point, but yeah, right now I don't want them to be a major part of the story.
Lastly, Christopher Waldron asks if we have any Star Wars headcanon that we choose to believe.
Yeah, this came up on a live stream we did earlier this week where I basically said, you know what, for now, like, a lot of people want a KOTOR remake or just they want to get back into the Old Republic era in canon. And I'm like, for now, I just kind of choose to believe that the stories from the Old Republic that I really like KOTOR, I'm just like, you know what, that happened. That's kind of in my head. Mm-hmm. The broad strokes of it, at least. I mean, I think the High Republic already changed the way that era will appear, but there could still be a Jedi named Revan that became a Sith that lost his memories and came back. And so, to me, Revan's story is still basically in my headcanon.
I'm going to be different and go forward in time and say that my headcanon is that Ben Solo is a Force ghost and visits Rey from time to time.
I don't think that's out of the question. Like, he became one with the Force. He faded away. Don't know why he wasn't there in the last shot, but
we'll never know.
I assume that, yes, Ben Solo is a Force ghost. And
Finn definitely becomes a Jedi.
Yes.
Because the holiday special confirmed he was training to be one.
Yeah, so that's not even, I wouldn't even consider that head canon. Like, the holiday special is, like, canon adjacent, but yeah, that's enough proof for me to say that Finn trains to become a Jedi and will be a Jedi. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.